Yeah, I'm just amazed at some of the issues that come up years later in a condominium that's, 10 years, 10 to 12 years old, and that errors were picked up that no one discovered over the years. So the example is common expenses. So when you buy a condo unit, you pay a certain percentage of common expenses. And the percentage is listed in the document called the declaration. And there's a schedule. Schedule D is the schedule that lists everybody's proportionate share. So that should be clear. And when someone buys a condominium unit, they should be looking at that schedule and taking the budget and say, okay, this will be my share. And I think, Lou, you know that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I had a situation last week come up where the Schedule D, for some reason, had the suite numbers beside it. It doesn't have to, but this one did.
Mm-hmm.
The suite numbers were wrong. So it was wrong since the beginning of time,
Oh, no.
12 years ago.
Oh, no, I see where this is going.
So unit 104 was not Unit 104 on the Schedule D, but Unit 104 was paying 104's percentage,
Right.
which was not their correct legal description percentage. So in fact, 3 units were paying the wrong common expenses for over 10 years.
Question, too high or too low?
Well, so here's the interesting part. The smallest unit was paying double the common expenses of the largest unit.
Nice.
And no one realized that, so I am like wondering, well, what's happened on the status certificates over the years? So, they had sold these units. There were lawyers. There were status certificates, and the status certificates were all over the place. They were different references to different suite numbers. And I just was looking at this with another lawyer. The two of us were trying to figure this out, and we could not figure out what happened or why this happened. But we decided to get the 3 owners together to amend it and to base it on square footage and say it's an error and go to court. So that's what we're doing.
That's a great remedy because, now what about that unit owner that's paying the small unit that's paying double for all this time? Is there any recourse?
Well,
Damages?
We don't know.
Right.
We don't know.
Especially if
Now,
the unit's been sold, that's even more complicated. If it's changed ownership, over. So let's say I own that unit, I don't know, like 5 years ago, and I was there for 3 years, and I paid double for that 3 years, and I discovered all of this. I may say, hey, listen, I paid double for 3 years. No, I want that back.
Yeah, well, there's a 2-year limitation period.
Like a lot of things.
Shucks.
What's so interesting is that the way it was discovered was because the one that was paying the least amount with the largest unit was selling their unit. And they brought to the attention that the suite number was wrong because they said we're paying, the smallest percentage, but our suite number's wrong on the deck. And when I looked into it, I realized they should have been paying the higher percentage.
The suite
now
owner that
they're
found
selling.
it.
So now they're selling to a purchaser who thinks they're paying half the common expenses.
Ooh.
And then we didn't want to blow the deal either for them. So we came to an agreement between, that party. The purchaser is going to be paying more than the previous owner. They'll be paying less than what was in the declaration.
Right. So you bring up a good point. I mean, this is a situation where because the right people, yourself included, the legal team was involved, you took control of this thing because you realized that this thing just completely got out of control.
Yep.
For whatever reason, it's going to be straightened up. But what's even more important is that you were able to salvage the deal.
Yeah.
And because you had a motivated buyer, you had a motivated seller, and for the sake of a few dollars, just to bring both sides together and bring the heads together to make sure that that everyone's still in line, was the right thing to do. That's amazing, and that speaks to the volume of why it is so important to work really with top professionals in this industry.